Welcome to DFS Insights. I am David G, joined here by my cousin and co host, also David G. We're here to help you with your Monday Night Football single game FanDuel lineup construction. We're going to cover a few stats that we find important and both give you two player picks that we think will help enhance your lineups and get them over the hump and into the money. Hey, David, how'd you fare tonight in the Millie Maker over on DraftKings?
Did okay. Think luckily I had Jennings and Kyron Williams to basically boost, hold my team above water. But
Yeah,
yeah. So other than that, just another week down. Just getting seeing how teams are feeling out. A lot of injuries coming up.
yeah,
So these third string running backs are surfacing and things like that. So just getting collecting the data now. I'm looking to go pretty hard week 5, 6 or so now, just kind of feeling out how all the teams are playing game script wise and such.
yep. I fully agree. I didn't do great myself. I only did two lineups in the Millie Maker. I'm more of a single game type of guy, and the couple single game lineups I did at least make the money. I pretty much broke even on the day. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to this Monday night matchup here. We got the Cincinnati Bengals playing the Washington Commanders. And it to me, this is the better of the two games that are going to be here on Monday night. There are two of them. This will be the main one that we're covering. How about we dive into that bad boy?
Yeah, I'll say better is a strong word. It's
Yeah,
it's just the one that you can win 50K. that uh,
ver-
that
ver- yeah.
that's basically what it
Hence,
amounts down
hence
to.
making it better.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. So, Bengals coming in as a favorite, 7.5 point favorites. The over under sitting at about 47. So this looks to be just a high powered offense game. I don't think any defense is going to really be played in this game,
Yeah,
which is weird. Bengals are only averaging about 58 snaps so far this season, whereas the Washington Commanders are coming in at about 67, so 10 additional offensive snaps. So that could play into those fantasy points. So keep an eye on that. When trying to break down your players here, it looks like Commanders are passing the ball about 59% of the time and running it about 40.8% of the time. Where Bengals, on the other hand, geez, this is crazy,
hmm,
71% passing to
yeah,
28%, 71.3 to 28.7 running. That's insane. I mean, they
for sure.
lost Mixon and they just said screw it. We're going straight passing. They are getting their weapons back, or at least one of them. T. Higgins should be making his debut here, so be looking forward
Huge.
into getting into him. So anything else to add here before we give the players that we think are going to have those breakout?
Just that if I told you that the AFC North standings right now, where Pittsburgh is the team up at the top at 3-0,
Just
Cleveland at 1-2, Baltimore 1-2, and we got the Bengals here at 0-2, and we know 0-3 is a death sentence. So this is a must win for Cincinnati here at home. So
oh
yeah,
yeah,
let's dive in.
I bet the Bears are looking at Justin Fields like dang,
I know, right?
dang.
For sure. He's
Probably,
been crushing.
dang, only if we fixed our offensive line and not drafted a quarterback. But, to each their own. So, coming in, here we go. Before we get into our picks, make sure you hit that like, subscribe, notification bell. It does help out the channel quite a bit here. We're trying to grow this community and, potentially, one of us will hit 50K or even place up there in the top. Yeah, let's, enough of
Yeah.
that. Enough of the little brief intermission. Let's get into it here. So my first player, I'm going to go with the quarterback, the rookie here, Jayden Daniels. I believe that he could be the MVP in this matchup, coming in at 15K, which is the second highest on the slate. This is going to be pretty interesting lineup construction. I haven't done too much lineup construction yet. I'm waiting for a little bit more of the ownership's values to be coming in. But the highest person is 15.5. So there's no 17K
Yeah.
player, no 16K. So lineup construction is going to be, I think, pretty nice. But I think you're going to probably have to get pretty different in this and take a risk if you're going to be placing up there by yourself, because I think it's going to be end up being pretty chalky. So looking at it, Jaden McDaniels, he's roughly averaging about 31 passes a game, 10 rushes a game. He has rushing touchdowns. I don't believe he has a passing touchdown, I believe
No.
yet. But the opponent's defense coming in here, the Bengals rushing defense is at 59.6, which is atrocious. Their pass rush is at 64.9, which isn't like that's like medium, middle of the field. But their coverage is 79.9. So looks like he might have a little hard time throwing it here. Projective ownership, I didn't really find anything right now up, but I this is my own personal estimation here. I believe he's going to be coming in about 25% in both, probably MVP and as well as just regular utility. MVP, I think he'll be high on because people have seen that he is that running type of quarterback where he will take off and he can get you those running touchdowns. So keep that in
Yeah.
mind. I believe he will be fairly decently owned. If you do hit that notification bell, I'll be posting updated ownerships as I get them in the comments section. Projected points about 20 points, which is the second highest here on the slate. So what do you think of Jayden Daniels before moving on here to your first pick?
Yeah, yeah, that's a great pick. I was really torn. I almost also went Jayden Daniels, so if I were to have had a third pick, it would have been him. I love the pick. It'll be a matter of having him an MVP or in the flex. I think either way, he is going to be one of the players in the optimal lineup at one of those two spots. So I will be most likely overexposed to the field with him and looking to try to make a difference in another spot. So yeah, great pick. I'll be going to the other side of the ball for my first pick, and I will be going with Mr. T. Higgins, making his return here for the Cincinnati Bengals. This should be huge because Jamar Chase has been getting double and triple teamed, and they just haven't been able to do a whole lot on offense, even though they've been throwing the ball a lot. So I think with T. Higgins back, so I thought it was interesting. He's already at 12.5K. Putting him at MVP is going to be, you know, risky for sure. I just put that up there because if you are trying to make your lineup different, and he is a boom or bust typically type of player, especially at this type of high salary, if you're looking at him to exceed that. And so, with this being his first game back and no one really knowing what to expect off an injury, I do see him being lower owned, especially at the 12.5K. I think that's a little expensive if you ask me. I'm thinking he's going to get around 4 to 8 targets. And again, I can't emphasize this enough. Cincinnati, this is a must win. They are at home. They definitely do not want to go down 0-3. There's only been like 4 teams that have ever made the playoffs starting out that way. So, yeah, what are your thoughts here on Mr. T. Higgins?
Yeah, no, I like him. Like the killer with him is that 12.5 salary. I believe if you would have came in at 11, I think I would have been probably a little higher owned. It's gonna. I
Yeah.
mean, he is obviously going to be the second receiver. I'm coming back from that injury. Do we know how many snaps he's going to get? Is he going to go out there? Is he just going to get hit once and then be out? So there's a lot of things that be taken into consideration. I'm going to be, looking to see how my lineup construction goes and where I can fit him in, where do I feel comfortable putting him in. As far as MVP, I mean, can't discount it. He definitely will be lower owned. But as we just saw here in the Sunday night Kansas City game, Rashee Rice came in at the MVP. So wide receivers do definitely have the chance to make that MVP slot. And T. Higgins, has been known to get 2+ TDs in a game. So while
Yeah.
everybody's quadruple team in Chase, it leaves Higgins right for the picking. So yeah, no, I like it for sure.
Right. Nice. Right on. Who do you got here for your second and final pick?
So this is going to be interesting here. I'm going to be pairing up here with Mr. With Jayden. I would keep calling him McDaniels for some reason. Jayden Daniels.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going with Terry McLaurin as my second pick. I put yes at MVP, but that is a yes only maybe if you're doing about 100 plus lineups, he will be, I believe, probably less than 10%. I have 15 up on the thing, but I'm coming looking at it now. I have it probably coming in less than 10% at the MVP for sure, but about 28 to 30 plus, maybe up to 35% in the utility. The opponent stats, as mentioned before, they're pretty decent at the coverage. You know, McLaurin's like their number one and two. I mean, you got Zagadius, I guess. You can count him. Projected targets, he's averaging roughly about 7 a game. So I put him up there. He's averaging about 61 a game. He's only projected about 10.5 points this game. However, I think, you know, Bengals, I believe, are going to put up points. Now they have no excuse. You heard the excuses. Burrow's not healthy. Burrow doesn't have his weapons. Burrow's healthy enough. All these excuses. Now I think they're going to be putting up points. And if they're playing from that far behind, Daniels is going to throw it. McLaurin would be there to hopefully reap those benefits. So I have him. I'm going to be pairing him with Daniels. Will I, have him as a run back to like a Bengals stack? Potentially. But with the Commanders, like I said, they are like a 59-40 split team, so I might be even using quite a bit of their running backs as well. So, but I like McLaurin as a low potential ownership kind of play, and at 10-5.
Nice. Yeah, and at the 10-5, that's definitely doable there. I do commend you for going back to this well. I know you've been going to this well each week, just waiting for him to break out. So he's a amazing player, and I think as this young team starts to get their bearings together and figuring out who they are and that type of stuff, I think that they're actually looking like a pretty good team, besides defensively, if I'm being honest. So this is a solid pick. I'll be having him in some of my commander stacks as well as also, as you mentioned, if I'm doing a Cincinnati stack, then maybe throwing him in there just as a one-off or something like that, I'll be doing as well. So solid pick. I like it. At MVP, that might be a little advantageous, but definitely in the flex. So great play. We can move on over to my final play, which will be back to the Cincinnati Bengals. We now have no excuses, Mr. Jamar Chase. So, I was shocked to see that he is the most expensive player on the slate at 15.5K. That to me was very shocking, seeing that he's only averaging like 7 fantasy points. So, that is pretty wild that he's more than Jayden Daniels and Joe Burrow. I don't know if that was an error by FanDuel. Nonetheless, he's had a slow start to the season. I think he is due for a breakout. I watched an interview with him in the locker room after the last game, and they're hyped to have T. Higgins back. He's excited to know that he might not have 4 guys covering him now and hopefully only 2. So I also believe that due to this really high price, that he should come in lower owned. It's just how game log trolls tend to look at it. They're going to see he's barely doing much and then see the 15.5K. And I'm hoping that keeps his ownership down. So I like trying to be contrarian, if you could even call it that, going Jamar Chase. Those words sound crazy. But I did put the team could be trailing and needing to pass. But regardless, they're passing, as you mentioned, just about 70% of the time anyway. So, and again, I can't emphasize this enough. If Cincinnati has any type of hopes for the playoffs, they're going to need this home win really, really bad. And I think this is Jamar Chase's breakout game here. So, what are your thoughts on his salary and what he's been doing and how you might be utilizing him here in this single game matchup?
Well, I honestly think his salary is cheap. He has the potential to have 20, 30 plus games, and I believe he would be probably the number one. Obviously, FanDuel is going to take his name and his potential into consideration with that. You're not going to put him at 12-5 and he's, known to get 20, 30 plus points. You can't do that. And not to mention, there's not, like, he's the highest priced player at 15-5. So you can stack three of the highest salaried people and still come in.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like, Daniels, at 17K or 17.5, what's his name? CMC, Christian McCaffrey coming in at 17.5. So, 15.5, I don't see that really being shocking, which I think that will actually, to be honest, increase his ownership over anything because you can put him anywhere and still, potentially have value. And like I said, and it's more potential now because Higgins is back, so he's not going to be drawing as much attention. Higgins is going to be drawing it off him, so the likelihood that he returns to Jamar Chase form is there. So, I think he'll be. I think he'll be probably one of the highest owned utility, and probably he'll be first, if not second, MVP owned, guaranteed.
We might have to do a little $5 friendly bet. I say that he's not even top two MVP, highest MVP owned. I would go both quarterbacks first, is what I'm thinking. I think he comes in maybe third. Now, the great point you did make is that because there is no one over 15.5, I kind of didn't take into consideration, if I'm being honest, that as you mentioned, you can fit the 15.5, 15, and 14K people and still be able to build a solid lineup. So taking that into consideration does up his ownership a little bit. So appreciate you pointing that out because that is one thing I did not consider.
Yeah, I mean, with those three, and you're left with about 77.50 left over, so you can throw in, even Zacchaeus here and Noah Brown or something, and still have.
Yeah.
I mean, you're taking long shots. Don't get me wrong. I probably wouldn't do that, but you can still throw them in. So, I mean, you can throw in Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow, and Higgins, and still have 9K per person left.
Yeah, for sure.
That's crazy.
So that is gonna make lineup construction interesting, trying to get the low owned player in there so that there's not chalk. Now the good news is most of the time this tournament has a lot more people. So because it is 50K to first, there is only 26,000 people, 455 in this tournament. So that, at least that's kind of nice having, more or less half the field. So I do like that.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll drop in the comments what the actual ownership is and see who's right. I have a feeling he'll be up there. So,
Okay.
all right. Well, with that, that's the Monday night football game here. So, make sure you hit that subscribe, notification bell, as we are covering basically every Monday night football game here, unless we can see that the Thursday night game is better. This upcoming one, Dallas versus Giants, that's not really appealing at all. So we're gonna probably continue doing Monday night for at least now, and we have the UFC slate coming up this week. So if you're over there on DraftKings, we're doing UFC there, and as well as the NFL Millie Maker slate for DraftKings. So make sure you hit that notification bell so when we drop these videos, you can come by and pick up the information and drop a comment. We'd love to hear from you guys. So with that, good luck. Hope to hit that 50K.
Yes, sir. Good luck to everybody out there and see you guys at the top of the leaderboard.